Welcome back, everyone. The Minnesota Department of Health says there are nearly 100 schools in the state with COVID outbreaks. An outbreak is having 5 or more students or staff with the virus.
And there are 770 schools that are reporting at least one case of COVID. Sharon Yu explains how contact tracing is still a key tool in monitoring COVID cases in the classroom.
Many parents may be familiar with a sheet that looks like this. Unfortunately, communicable diseases are pretty common in schools.
If there is a child in your child's classroom who has a communicable disease, so things like strep throat or influenza, lice, hand, foot, mouth, those sorts of things, you get a note home right away letting you know there was a child in your child's classroom that was diagnosed with this particular disease.
Katie Loth, as a mother of 3, has seen a fair share of these fact sheets, but hasn't seen one yet for COVID-19, even though she knows her oldest kid's school has had incidents. And the thing is, the fact sheet for COVID-19 does exist, at least on the Hennepin County's daycare manual site, nestled in between conjunctivitis and croup.
How is it working right now?
So right now, parents will receive a phone call, I believe, if their child is deemed to have been in close contact with a child with COVID. The timeliness of that has been pretty variable, and the information that comes along with that notification varies from case to case. So your child came in contact with someone sometime last week, as an example of a call that you might get.
And by that point, it's a little too late.
A little bit too late.
So Loth put out a call to action on Twitter asking for more pressure on school districts and the state for a more uniform notification protocol. Parents from Minneapolis, the West Metro, and North Metro have chimed in, saying it's not just Loth's district.
One of the things I think all parents are dealing with right now is sort of this challenge, especially parents of kids under 12. We don't have the opportunity to vaccinate our child, and so all we can really do is lean on some of the other tools that we have at our disposal. So things like masking, distancing, and then comes into play kind of this contact tracing, which requires transparency.
Loth says for now, at least for her community, they're relying on the colloquial mom network, which in itself can leave parents out and eliminates anonymity.
Some folks have started WhatsApp channels to try to understand who is it that's testing positive and who might they have come into contact with, but I know that that's leaving out people. If you're new to the area, if you don't have a strong social network in your neighborhood or at your child's school, for families that might be busier and working multiple jobs and don't have the opportunity to tap into those resources, as well as people who might speak a different language.
Loth says she believes a more streamlined strategy of communication recommended to schools by the state would be helpful, especially as parents of young kiddos await a vaccine that will work for their kids.
Knowing that that's coming should really inspire us to do all we can to protect the children kind of in the meantime. We only need to do this for a couple of more months for those 5 to 12-year-olds, and I think that shouldn't make us sort of sit back. What it should do is make us feel really excited to kind of continue to use all of these tools for as long as we can to keep as many kids safe as we're able to.
Minnesota's health department released a statement saying it's encouraging schools to develop letters and resources that students can take home, but say it's ultimately the school's decision whether to send the letters and what the content is.
Coming up, the outlook for the sugar beet harvest, how farmers are faring after our hot, dry summer.